Hello. This is not to be taken as anything evangelical in saying that just because I believe in this or I do this doesn't mean that you have to automatically follow. We all have our own spiritual paths in life, and it's not for us to decide another person's spiritual path is right or wrong. That's a personal thing. While we might have problems with the dogma itself or the spiritual ideas themselves, it's not right to say to another person, you can't be a Muslim, you can't be a Christian, or even worse still, to pass laws to stop them from doing it. People, this is what Abrahamics have done for years. They've banned, basically in Ireland it was illegal not to be, more or less, be a Catholic for decades. Of course, you could be another religion, but so many things within the government stature and books were devoted to make life easier for Catholics and harder for Protestants, Jews, and other minorities. Now, the same thing happens in many countries. We had like tithes in Britain that made Catholics impossible for Catholics. You had Catholic emancipation, which basically liberated Catholics to a degree. So every country has basically, and even like you think Native Americans, they've been oppressed by Christians and Abrahamics who basically didn't acknowledge their Native American religions. Same with the African Americans. They were forced basically to become Christians when they were taken out of Africa from their African paganism. So it's not it's up to nobody. Nobody should ever stop another person's religion. That comes directly from evangelical thinking, such as like what you have in jihad and crusade. Now, a lot of people are quite amazed when I open and candidly say I'm a Luciferian pagan, and they're like shocked because they think that I'm a devil worshipper. Now, this is the issue at hand. I have a video film called below called "The Songs of Phosphor." Lucifer is not the devil, and Lucifer is not the devil. Lucifer is a classical pagan god. He is the sister of Diana, brother of Diana, his sister, and the son of Aurora, the goddess of the dawn. Lucifer represents the planet Venus, also known as Phosphor, and Lucifer represents the shining light. The star card in the tarot at the end of the dark night of the soul, what appears in the sky? The morning star, Lucifer, to give you hope, clarity. You know, when you have a really bad night of terrible thoughts, and you have a bad night of like rumination and feeling bad, things are really bad. You wake up in the morning, and for some reason, that dark night of the soul has cleared, and you suddenly say, "Oh wait, hold on, maybe there is a solution." That's Luciferianism. The morning star has illuminated within inside you. It has come to be that way. So that's what truly makes Lucifer the god of this planet. And there's some other proof of this as well. The Earth and Lucifer dance in a ballet through the solar system that leaves a pentagram shape, which is also why the apple is forbidden in the Garden of Eden, because that was actually the classical pagan god Lucifer, giving knowledge, giving enlightenment from within. And the Luciferian idea extends to that kind of idea of clarity. Now, again, Lucifer doesn't exist as a god. If you have what all you just think of Lucifer as a pure shining light of truth and illumination and enlightenment. That's all you think of Lucifer as. Lucifer is that. I've encountered it. That is what it is, metaphorically and physically. You will often see the flash of light, the flash of brilliance, the spark, the eureka moment, the suddenly, okay, things are not a terrible problem at the moment, or suddenly I've been in this relationship that's been just destroying me for years. Suddenly, I can just walk away. Bang! I hate this job. What's the big deal? Oh, but I can just walk away. That's a Luciferian moment, a moment of pure clarity, where all your idiosyncrasies and neuroses and hang-ups and all your other uh, behavioral, maybe even pathological self issues you have are thrown to one side, and you have that moment of clarity. And you see, this is why the organized religions and this King James Bible probably purposely mistranslated the idea of Lucifer, is because it would have meant that moment, boom, it's bullshit, I don't need it. There's a picture going around. I'll give you an example of a classic Luciferian idea and symbol. There's a photograph going around of little girls with pigtails next to Chairman Mao, uh, Joseph Goebbels, I think someone else, Hitler, someone else, Stalin, sorry, and Obama, and it's Greta Thunberg. Now, that doesn't mean that what that's telling us is not that those kids with pigtails are evil. What it's telling us is that they are archetypal representations of the evil they're behind. Like you know, so many of us were disgusted by her speech, Greta Thunberg's speech at the UN. It's not. It's one thing to point a finger at her. That's just a reaction. There's something not right there. When you suddenly realise that what she represents is a suit of armour by the globalists to the totalitarian world government that's made of pigtails and emotional platitudes, that's your Luciferian moment. When you realize that the reason why there's all those totalitarian monsters have pictures, including Obama, was a horrible warmonger, with little pictures with girls with pigtails, is because the universe is in control of this. They're not. And that little kid with pigtails was either picked up by the totalitarian leader or went there for the reason that there's an archetypal narrative, an unfolding sense of destiny in the background. This is why I talk about reading the psychic weather, observing the psychic and archetypal resonance. Like when Russell Brand came out with the whole brand new purple pill thing, I mean, the reason that's right off the bat was he was deliberately archetypally making himself look like Jesus Christ, Dionysus and Che Guevara. Anyone has that look wants to look like the Western archetype of Jesus to manipulate you. When you figure that out, that's a Luciferian moment. When you're not being manipulated by media and politicians with their platitudes and their fears and their concerns. That's a Luciferian moment. When you realize that, hold on a second, protesting and activism and being a protester, writing a protest song, it doesn't really achieve anything except makes me a slave, rattling my manacles to my leader saying, please give me more shiny or looser manacles. When you say to yourself, well, the best way to deal with them is not to indulge them and beg them to make them give me more shiny manacles. The best thing to do is kind of just use them and ignore them. That's a Luciferian moment. You understand? The moment of clarity, the moment of enlightenment, the moment of self-autonomy, internal self-insurgency. That's what Luciferian is, and that's what Lucifer represents. The light in that darkness, that thing that guides you through the dark night of the soul. That's what Lucifer is. This is when people say, well, you know, I'm still having people saying to me, oh, how could you call yourself a pagan when you're aligning yourself with a Middle Eastern deity from the Bible? Again, they didn't even check to see that Lucifer is a mistake. All biblical and rabbinical scholars will tell you that it's not. It's these days, and have for years, decades, centuries gone back, saying it's probably a mistranslation. But nobody cared. You had the likes of Blavatsky and the Theosophists turning Lucifer into something still biblical. It wasn't the right way. I want to reclaim Lucifer for the pagan Europeans. That's what I want to do, and I'm doing it, and I've done it. He's one of us, he's not one of theirs. And just like his sister Diana is one of us, and his mother Aurora is one of us, the songs of phosphor sing within our hearts. They don't rattle in the Middle East. And this is where we have to start being, that's another moment of Luciferianism. What do you mean? That Lucifer is not the devil in the Bible? It's a mistranslation in the King James text, and he's actually a European god. Where's the proof? It's everywhere in classical literature. Boom, Luciferian moment. I'm not enslaved in that word anymore. I don't have to feel fearful of it. I have my Luciferian moment. Boom, it flies out. You understand? You see what that means? That's what the Luciferian moment is. Clarity. And it's a beautiful feeling. You remember that? You had a night thinking about a problem, a job, something to work, something to pay your bills. And it was the most horrible, something with a relationship. It was the most horrible, horrible night of your life. The most horrible night of your life. And then you woke up in the morning and you had okay, I can probably start with this. And that's, do you notice how different it changes? That is the song of phosphor coming into your being. That moment is how you should live your entire life, as the songs of phosphor. Every cause and event has a reaction and a reaction. Live your life in that way. Of course, we're not perfect, but eventually when you remember that you have enough of these Luciferian moments of enlightenment, you start to live live your life in a more mature and grounded way, and very much a less selfish way. Have you ever, we've all had a period in our life where someone has dressed us down and talked to us, and we were humiliated. Don't talk to me like that. We were humiliated, made me feel bad. Oh, this kind of thing. And then you talk about it later. Geez, that was the best fucking lecture anyone ever gave me. Boom, that was a Luciferian moment.